I can't decide whether to put this video under my thoughts playlist or not. On one hand, these are my thoughts on the Nintendo Switch, but then again, that series is more geared towards games. I don't know, we'll see what I decide when I finish this video, but for now, let me tell you my opinions on the Nintendo Switch. So, the Switch event happened last Thursday, and it was, well, it was something. Let's go with that. The first part was pretty good, the second part was mediocre at best. Anyway, the Nintendo Switch is obviously the newest console from Nintendo, a company that has seen some hard times in the industry as of late, with the Wii U literally crashing hard, and the other two consoles taking the spotlight. The Switch is Nintendo's big shot back into the spotlight and get back in the competition and back to the forefront of the console gaming industry. The first thing I want to touch on is who the Switch is meant for, because a lot of people are not talking about that. Look, it's not meant for the guy who's trying to go pro in Call of Duty. It's not meant for the guy who happens to want to play Battlefield 1 on the bus. It's for the guy who has a 1-hour commute on the bus and likes to play Zelda or likes to play Mario. It's also for the guy who has friends over from time to time and likes to have weird, awesome fun with those friends in his apartment. It's for those people. And in theory, it sounds like a really niche market, but I think if Nintendo really markets this well and gets some good key games on this console, they can really tap into that market and open up the floodgates for those people. The people who live in cities, the people who live just outside of cities and work in the city. You know, I think that places like New Jersey will be a huge selling point for this console, because a lot of people in New Jersey work in New York City, and they'll be able to play the Nintendo Switch on their way to work in New York City, obviously. So I think that's really going to be a huge market for this device, because it's so portable, and they can just take it back home and keep playing Mario, keep playing Zelda, or they can charge it at work or whatever. Places like that are going to be huge for the Nintendo Switch here because of its portability. So the natural question is, can it compete with the PS4 and Xbox One? Well, the simple answer is yes, it can compete with the big boys in the console industry, but in a different way. It has something the PS4 and Xbox One don't have, and that's obviously portability. You can't take your PS4 or Xbox One on the bus ride or on the plane. The Switch can supposedly play games like Mario for up to 6 hours without being charged. I think the fact that it's made by Nintendo and they already have legendary exclusives from Nintendo and they are already proving themselves to be console sellers, I think that's a huge selling point again. You can't get Zelda or Mario on PlayStation, and that's a huge seller when it comes to all Nintendo consoles, you know? Things like the Wii U, things like the original Wii. These things sold massive, well, not necessarily the Wii U, but like the Wii, the Game Boy, the N64, the SNES, these things sold massively because they had some awesome first-party titles from Nintendo, because they make these weird, out-of-the-box games that are literally some of the best games that have ever come to market. And the fact that you can only get that on Nintendo consoles is, again, a ginormous selling point, because Microsoft doesn't make Zelda, Sony does not make Mario. These things are only available on one console, and that is absolutely it's something huge to consider when you're looking at a new console to buy in holiday of 2017. The Switch is a very interesting product as far as specs go. I'm not going to give you a complete rundown, but realize that it's similar to the Nvidia Shield. Now, that box isn't necessarily a console, but it is a very convincing entertainment device. The Switch is a little bit more powerful than the Shield, and that, set on top of the fact that it's portable, is also a very convincing little gaming tablet. Especially with the Joy-Con controllers that you can attach from the system. Those things are really cool, and I'm sure they're a huge selling point for the system. I've heard great things of that, and you can have one in each hand and have your hands however you want them. I've heard great things of the Joy-Con controllers, and I'm sure they're awesome. I think they're really, really cool little controllers that you can kind of screw around with and have your hands, you know, one up, one down, or you can have one back, one forth. You can kind of keep your hands in a natural position as far as where they would normally rest, and you can't really do that with a regular controller. I guess you kind of can, but those Joy-Con controls are a huge selling point for the actual outer body of the Switch. Now, I want to go back to the exclusives, and I keep going back to them, but that's for good reason. Any Nintendo console has the privilege of being the only place you can buy these legitimately legendary games. Mario, Donkey Kong, and Zelda are huge franchises you cannot get anywhere. Actually, is Donkey Kong even a Nintendo franchise? I don't know. Mario and Zelda especially, though, they're huge franchises you cannot get anywhere with the exception of the iPhone now for Mario. And like I said, these games have really proven to be console sellers. I have friends who bought a DS just to play Pokemon Sun and Moon. It's not like Quantum Break or Killzone. These games have survived multiple generations and consistently have been the best when it comes to first-party software. I think for any Nintendo console, no matter which one it is, the first parties decide whether or not it will sell, and that's backwards because other consoles have to get exclusives from third parties. All Nintendo has to do is just make some really good games for the system, and it will sell like crazy. I'm actually considering buying one of these just for the new Zelda Breath of the Wild game. Overall, I think the Switch is a very interesting product, but we're going to have to wait and see how it does in the real market. It's something we've never seen before, and it's weird because we've seen a portable and we've seen a console, a regular console, but we've never seen a portable console, and that's absolutely crazy. So I think we're going to have to figure out how it works in the real world, in the real market, because if it performs well and if they can find a great market for it, it's really going to be a legendary device. You know, it's going to put Nintendo back in the spotlight, and it's going to have some really interesting stuff going on with it because it's portable, because you can detach the controllers, because you can take it to people's places, because you can pull it out after a basketball game and play Mario Kart. Like, you can't do that anymore, and you still can't do it. And most people still won't be able to do it because I guarantee you this thing will not sell that well at launch. I'm sure it will sell a lot, but it's never going to be on the level of Xbox One and PS4 is what I'm trying to say. At least not for a while. It has to prove itself first, and once it proves itself, it will be awesome. Now, the question is obviously, can it prove itself? And that's why I think we need to wait. We need to wait and see if the Nintendo Switch can prove itself, if it is that convincing of a console. So, with that, I urge you to check it out. I urge you to make your own opinions, form your own ideas, and then go down the console and tell me what you guys think. With that, my name has been Z-Star. Please don't forget to like the video. Give it a like if you liked it. Go down the console and tell me why you rated it like you did. And I'll see you guys in the next video.